First of all, I would like to thank for coming today, Miss Sevim, Miss Emily, and also Miss Johanna. Once again, thank you for welcoming, and also welcome to be Tidak Sekolah family. Thank you so much. Okay, first of all, actually I'm nervous. Before we know more about Miss Sevim and dig more about her experience and incredible journey that she has been through, allow me to introduce myself. In case all of you don't know my name, I'm Salma, the youngest member school here. The youngest student here. And also, I've been waiting this day to finally come. And finally, here I am today with Miss Sevim. Can we pick one more applause? Thank you so much for coming today. Thank you for spending your day coming here. I saw some videos in YouTube. You were in Surabaya 4 days ago. You were in Sea today 2 days ago or a day ago. Am I right? Okay. I want to know more, a little bit background about you. So can you tell us more about you?
Let me start. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for hosting me. Thank you to the embassy for making this possible and inviting me. This is such an honor. I am actually honored to be here. I'm honored to be in Indonesia because I've never been in Indonesia before.
Is it your first time?
My first visit.
Ooh, welcome!
And at first I was a little bit upset because I had to be in the cities all the time. Well, not only am I outside the city now, but the cities have been so beautiful because the people are so beautiful that even just seeing the cities, I want to move to Indonesia.
When? For sure, when?
Let's talk, because if I could live here, it would be even better. Really, alhamdulillah. Thank you all so much for being so kind and happy, because just seeing it makes me happy. The other thing that makes me happy, and now I'll start telling you about myself. The other thing, well, okay, happy people make me happy. Being with children makes me happy. And then being with nature makes me happy. So when I got here, I started to cry, and I might start to cry again, but it's just because I'm so happy. It's such a relief to be out in the woods and to be with all of you. So I run an organization called Green Muslims. I didn't start it. It was started many years ago by friends of mine, actually, who are younger than me. They had finished college, and they went to the capital city, Washington, D.C., to work. They had an internship, which I can provide to any of you because it doesn't require money. We have unpaid internships. You have to work for free. It's not fair, but it's how Washington, D.C. functions. We need the young people to help make everything happen, especially the organizations that don't make money. Anyway, they had come to D.C. for internships, and then they got jobs in the city, and they stayed in the city. And they lived on their own, without their parents. They didn't have children yet. And it was Ramadan, so it was the anniversary now. And it was summer in Washington. It was very hot, like here. They decided they would go to the local masajid, to the mosques, the Islamic centers, as we call them, and go for iftar. And they would see how much waste there was during iftar. During iftar, back then, this is 2007, so many years ago, they saw all these cups and plates and forks and spoons, often made of plastic or styrofoam, that would be used and thrown away, and then they saw all the food that was being wasted too, and they decided to do something different. They decided to have an iftar with all their friends, and it was going to be a no-waste iftar. No trash and no waste of food. And they had a special name for this iftar, which I like very much, but I have to translate it because it's not common English. They called it a leftar.
A leftar.
Why? We have leftovers. After you cook, you keep the food in the refrigerator, the leftovers in the refrigerator, and eat them the next day. They said, bring your leftovers so no food goes to waste.
Okay, well,
yeah. And culturally, it's not acceptable for all cultures to bring leftovers for iftar, but for the Americans, it's okay. So no waste of plastic or styrofoam disposables, we call them. We can't reuse them again. They just go in the garbage and we can't even recycle them. And then no waste of food. And then they did it outside, no extra waste of energy. And that was how the tradition of Green Muslims started. And eventually we became a non-profit organization, and then many, many years later I joined. Now the question is, why did I join Green Muslims? So I actually studied different subjects, I had different jobs. And then I had the most important job of all, I became a mother. Now, it's the most important job, so I'll stop everything else and I'll just be a mother. I did that for a couple years, and I started to go crazy. I actually wanted to get back to work because I had been working before, I had studied very hard. But more importantly, I was thinking about where my daughter would go to school. And that's why I'm really thinking I could live here. I can bring her, she can go to school here too.
Please, one day.
Inshallah. But I wanted her to go to school in a nature school. And we don't have that many of them where I live. And the ones that we have are very, very expensive. You have to be quite rich to go to those schools. So I couldn't find a school for her, so I started teaching her myself. I wanted her to learn about nature. I wanted her to be exposed to nature. I would carry her and go on hikes until I wasn't strong enough anymore. Fortunately, the parks, we have green areas called parks. We have trails that sometimes are like the road. They're hard, so I would push the stroller in the park too. But I wanted her to be outside. Why did I want her to be outside? This is also about, it comes back to my story. So my father is from Turkey. That's my exposure to Islam, and I was raised Muslim. There are many Muslims in the United States of America, from all over the world, from the United States, from the Middle East, from Indonesia, and all around. But I grew up in a smaller town where there were not many Muslims. So I did not go to a masjid for prayer. I did not have a school where I was taught about my deen. But I did have something very special that I think you have too. I had nature around me. And nature became my masalla. That was my place of prayer. Because nature reminded me of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I found out later this idea is not that common to see Allah in nature, but it's getting more common. So I didn't learn my religion formally from teachers, but I learned it from nature. And they do say, you know, we have the Quran, we have the Talmud, we have the Bible as well as holy books from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But nature is also one of Allah's books. And if we humans don't mess it up, it's in perfect form from the author, from the creator, right? So we can read nature and learn about Allah, we can learn about Islam, we can learn about the meaning of life by being in nature, and also it makes us closer to our creator too. So I was blessed to have that experience as a child, and I wanted my child to have it too. So this is where the whole idea of children being exposed to nature as a part of learning your deen, learning your religion came in. And I became a teacher. I take kids out into the woods and we just look at the plants and the animals and we talk about them and we learn about them. The other reason I'm so happy here, this is where I'm supposed to be, children and nature. And I also run Green Muslims. Now, Green Muslims does a lot of things. It works with adults and it works with children. It works with the law in the city, and it works with the nature away from the city. There are not many Muslim environmental organizations in the United States yet. There are more, not only Green Muslims. There's one called Green Ramadan, and there are green initiatives for different groups trying to go, when you say go green, it's to be better for the environment, to help the environment, but green is also the color of Islam, so it's perfect. Green, green, everything's green. We have a program in Green Muslims, which is my favorite. I didn't start it, it already existed, but I knew it was for me. We call it Our Deen is Green. And that is the youth education program, outdoor education program. And we take children, and now, because I'm a mother, I take parents too, because parents need to learn. We take them out into nature, and we teach about the ecosystem, the interaction of all the plants and the animals and the water and the land and the people. And then we also bring an Islamic component into it. We teach about why we as Muslims care about the environment and the signs of our deen that are in the environment. You know, we have the Asma al-Husna, the 99 names of Allah. There are signs of them throughout. And there are many verses from the Quran and Hadith that reflect on nature. We talk about those things because the idea of nature being a part of our religion is not common yet. Yet. For me, it's common. That's where I lived my religion, in nature. But not everybody had that experience. So that you can combine Islam and nature, that you can do salat outside, that's so beautiful. Again, I can live here.
Okay, Miss Abim, thank you so much for your interesting story. The nature education, it is like Montessori, right? Montessori education.
It can be. It can take examples from the Montessori method, but we have other methods of alternative schooling too that come in. But I'm also a teacher at a Muslim Montessori school, so I'm familiar with Montessori.
Yes, I researched about that. That's why. Okay, I was very interested in how you do the left iftar, but we are talking about that later because we can actually apply the way you did that in the US, and we can also apply here in our pesantren. So no waste anymore. We also have Greenpeace in Indonesia. Yeah, it's like Go Green, but it is basically in Indonesia. And also we have Ngebonyu, who is part of Ngebonyu. Ngebonyu is basically also Go Green. So they plants, and then also except planting trees, they also do Go Greens, cleaning, wasting, and also they make a compost. So we will talk about that later, and maybe you can get an advice from Miss Safir. Okay, so we were talking about the Green Muslim and how you started. We were like, it's okay, it's okay.
It's okay without it, I think.
What are the missions or goals of the Green Muslim?
So, we all go? Okay.
We don't need diagram. We can talk like this. Everybody can hear me, right?
Yes.
My voice.
It's okay, you can.
Is it working now?
You can use.
I know. I think it's okay. Unless the cicadas get too loud, I think we're okay. So, mission of Green Muslims, right? That was the question. If I had my slides, I would quote it word for word. But most importantly, we try to teach Muslims and encourage Muslims to do two things. Connect with the environment as a part of their deen. Like we read nature, like we read the Quran, and we connect with Allah through nature. And to take care of it, because it's our responsibility as Muslims and humans to take care of it. So two things, that spiritual connection and to enjoy nature, not be afraid of it, and then to know that we have to take care of it.
The two main goals.
Yes, two main goals.
Wow. Okay, we would like to know what is your best experience during you joining the Green Muslims organization. You've been through a lot, you went to one places to another places, and of course you have so many stories. What is your best experience?
Honestly, this right here, right now. But other experiences like this too. Being with children out in nature and helping them see the beauty in things that might look scary or ugly to other people. Like we look at the bugs, and some people don't like them at all. But if you learn more about them, and if you look closely and you see how amazing they are, the fears can go away, especially with younger people. So when I sense the joy of being in nature with young people, that's what makes me happy. But this is really, right here is my dream. Maybe like this.
How is this? This one works? Okay. But we don't need it. It's okay. Does that answer well enough?
Yes.
This experience and other experiences like this with children outside.
Okay. So, you are now focused on kids in the Green Muslim?
Personally, yes, but we also have to work with adults.
Yeah.
So we do things with adults as well. I mean, we always get invited to speak, and so there are many opportunities to speak either at locations in a meeting or on Zoom. We can do it over the internet now very easily. And when we speak, sometimes we're talking to Muslims about the environment and why it's important. or what Islam teaches about nature. And other times we're talking to non-Muslims to tell them what Muslims are doing and what Islam teaches. We also take groups outside, which again, my favorite thing, and it can be children, and it can be a hike, or it can be a lesson in the outdoors, but we also take adults out for hikes, and then we do the same things that you're already talking about, service projects. So we might pick up trash, or we might plant trees, and sometimes we have to remove plants too, because plants that have come from different parts of the world don't really belong in our ecosystem, and they can damage the other plants, so we do invasive removal as well. So we have many outdoor activities.
Okay, because for me that's very interesting. We have kids here, we have adults here, and of course as a young generation we need to have a Green Muslim organization too here. Maybe with a different name but with the same mission and vision and the same goal. I think the microphone doesn't like me. Yeah, with the same mission or vision here in Indonesia, especially in our place, Pesantren Negeri As-Salam. I would like to know, how do you raise awareness of global environments among adults and kids? Because honestly, it is hard. Let's say not to using plastic cups or bring your own straw to the restaurants and other things. It is still hard, even for me. And how do you deal with that?
So I agree, it's very, very hard. And in fact, it intimidates me. I don't want to go out and lecture to the world and then have nothing happen. Over time, this has taken me a long time, by the way, I have learned some patience. Inshallah, I have learned some patience. I have a joke. My middle name is Sabriya, which is patience. And in English, we have an expression, patience is my middle name, which means I'm very patient. Well, patience is my middle name, but I'm not very patient. But as I've gotten older, I've gotten more patient and more grateful. I work one by one with people. I share my experience and my passion, and usually people understand. And I'm patient, because we know we don't want to waste. We don't want to throw away plastic. But how many plastic bottles have I used this week? Yeah. Keep going. Don't give up. Don't become depressed that, oh, we can't do anything. If more and more people start to care, then the change will come. Yeah. So my number one lesson is patience. Also, I'm not an expert, so I don't speak about all the details of the percentages of pollution and how it affects health and all the. I talk about, we know that this is bad, how can we change it? Or we know that this is good, how can we do more of it? And why? Why do we do it? Many reasons. The simplest reason that I can share with all people, no matter what their faith, is because we need nature and we love nature. But then we also have another reason. We do it to serve Allah. Yeah. And we'll talk about why we know that we have to do that, I'm sure, a little bit later.
Yes. If there are parents or teachers here, they're like me, what is the first step that we can do to talk with the kids, to talk with adults, how important it is to raise an awareness about the global environment?
I think the first step is to go outside and look at how beautiful it is. And then maybe look at where it's not so beautiful. Who made it not so beautiful?
Human!
But we can make it beautiful again too. So make sure the children understand what it's supposed to look like and what it's supposed to feel like, even before they have to know why we need it clean. Just to appreciate it. Develop the appreciation, and then take the steps, make the action based on that, and have it affect your whole life. Now, I had learned to not be wasteful when the only person I had to take care of was myself. But then I became a mother, and it became much, much harder. We waste a lot. But my daughter knows that we try not to. And inshallah, that will affect the rest of her life. So work with all people of all ages, in all places, but especially those who are closest to you, and the youngest also, because you, the young people, can make changes now, but you can make even bigger changes tomorrow.
Yeah, true.
I mean, I love nature, but I never thought to study environmental sciences in college. I never thought when I was your age or even in college to think about a career in environmental work. It just didn't cross my mind back then. You know now.
Yeah.
So it can influence the rest of your life.
The very first step we do now is by not using plastic cups. And also when we buy food outside, we need to bring our own place or Tupperware. And also the other things that we do is not buying more clothes anymore.
Yes.
So enough clothes is enough. And then when we have like clothes that we don't wear it anymore, we can actually donate to other people who actually needs in that. I think that's the very easiest and the very first step that we can do to follow the Go Green organization. Go Green, the Green Muslims organization. Okay, talking about the challenges, what do you think are the challenges will be in the future, especially for the Green Muslims and to erase global environment?
Well, the pollution, the damage to the earth is increasing and increasing and increasing. Even though there's more awareness of it and people are trying to do more, the big factories and companies are still doing damage. So it's not going to get easier, but we have to keep going. Through our whole lives, we have to keep trying to help the earth. Now, you asked for Green Muslims specifically. I think about us as an organization. We are growing now. I'm scared. It was much easier when it was maybe just me and one other person working for free. Now we have to deal with money. We have more requests. We have to learn how to say no. I don't know how to say no when somebody asks me to do something. I have to learn. So understanding our limits as humans so that we don't cause more problems. Growth is a lot of work, even for people. As you grow up, there will be more responsibility. So we all have to learn.
Okay, before we have a break, because there will be a special performance from the kids, and then after that we're coming back with the question and answer session. But before that, the very last one, and also very interesting for me especially, I would like to know more about the leftar programs, and then maybe you can share us some tips on doing Ramadan without waste.
Okay, so I did tell you the story of how the leftar came to be. We still, for many years, friends would gather and have these leftars, and even when I first got involved with Green Muslims the second year that it existed, I hosted one of them. Today, we don't do it as a group of friends. And today we join with a bigger organization and we try to encourage at least one of their iftars to be a no-waste leftar. What are the rules? The rules are you have to bring your own plate. You have to bring your own cup. You have to bring your own fork. Does the organization still have disposables handy? Yes, because people will forget. It's still a very, very new idea. But then also we say, if you don't mind, I mean, we have what we call potlucks. Everybody has to bring one dish so that nobody has to cook for everyone. And we ask that you bring something that was already made. Some people do, some people don't. But the idea is not as crazy as it used to be. It used to be a crazy idea. I used to be embarrassed bringing my own plate to an iftar. I'm not embarrassed anymore. And I'm not the only person. So little steps go a long way. And then you can think of other ways that would help the environment, maybe saving energy. And then the other bit of advice I have, because I love nature as much as I do, and I think would work perfectly here anyway, and you may already do it, is eat outside, pray outside. Because maybe that's good for the environment. Maybe you use less energy, maybe.
Yeah.
But most importantly, you connect with nature more, and you make nature a part of your iftar. And that makes it more a part of the religion of Islam. How does that sound?
Yes, I love that sound. You know, it gives me fresh ideas on what we can do here and what we can apply during the Ramadan and of course after the Ramadan. And after this, get ready, prepare your best questions. We are going to have question and answer sessions, but before that, we are going to have a break and watching a special performance that will be by Miss Nishwa and Mr. Aim. what we're going to do next. And then we're now having a question and answer session. Woo! Okay. I bet everyone is not patient to have the questions. So who wants to have the first questions? You can. Okay, Salsa, can you please introduce your name and then ask the question? Thank you.
Okay, so let me introduce myself. My name is Salsa and I am 15 years old. Yeah, and because this is the first question, so I would like to ask you about how do you build your spirit in yourself for the first time you love the culture? Nature, I mean culture. Yeah.
It was off. Okay. That's a very hard question for me because I didn't try to do it. It just happened for me. And I guess I sincerely believe it can just happen for anybody, but you have to be out in nature and you have to be comfortable. So don't force people to do something they're not comfortable with, maybe expose little by little, but observe. Observe. So I didn't talk much about the tenets of Islam that support the work of green Muslims, but we have surahs in the Quran, the ayahs in the Quran that tell us to observe what's around us because there are signs, ayat, in the heavens and in the earth. So just getting into the habit of going outside and looking for the signs of Allah is a good first step. But I understand for some people, maybe not for you, but for many people, going outdoors can be scary. There needs to be a safe place. You get braver with experience, but it shouldn't be a terrifying experience. And then for some people, they live in the city. What are they going to do? Any sign of nature will work. I had been in the city for a week, and I saw a tree. One tree. I looked at the tree. It had a line of fire ants going up the tree. And after not having been in nature for a week, that was so beautiful to me and so amazing. Like, why do the ants do that? And then I couldn't tell where they were coming from. Why? Because they were the same color as the ground. I could see them on the tree, but I couldn't see them on the ground. Subhanallah. Who thought, to come up with the camouflage like that? Why are they the color of the ground? And what are they doing when they're going up that tree like that? They're communicating with each other. Ants are amazing. They were also fire ants, so I knew to leave them alone. But in every little thing we see, even a rock, there are signs of Allah. And so we should observe. Observation and patience.
Observations and patience. You mentioned you were eating in nature and also praying in the nature because it is really interesting, and maybe one day I would like to try that also. But I would like to know, do you experience something like maybe you might, I don't know, maybe a snake or a spider, unpleasant experience? Have you ever experienced that?
So even here, we were outside, and I heard the cicadas start singing, and I actually saw a bug go near someone, and I was impressed that they didn't jump. These can be seen as distractions in salat. Oh, you're not supposed to think about anything else, but they're all signs. So I think even praying here, this is outside, so you have that experience, and you can eat outside, and there will be many other things happening, but you notice them. Maybe you wouldn't notice them in other situations. Prayer is a quiet time, a still time, so there's more observation. Even eating can be. So I think it does happen here, which is wonderful, and it can always happen more.
Okay. Thank you. Next one, after Kasalsa, anyone wants to ask question for Miss Sevim? Yes? Okay, the most handsome. Oh, I say that again.
Okay, so let me introduce myself. My name is Aziz. I'm 19 years old, and I just want to ask a questions. So, like just now, we to have the go green, we should have our own place to do something. But how to solve when we are buying something that they're in the plastics? So when we have already prepared those things that we should not throwing the rubbish, but how to solve with the plastic, the food that has been there in the plastics? Thank you.
That is what in English we call the $1,000,000 question. Like, it's the biggest question. And I have to think about my own experience with it. I'm still buying those things too. But I'm keeping myself so busy that I don't get depressed every time I buy it. The steps have to be small. You cannot change what the manufacturers are doing yet. Yet. But every little effort you make, and you share that with the next person, and they share it, and they share it, it becomes bigger and bigger. So maybe you think, well, first maybe you ask, do I really have to buy this? Is there something else I could use that I already have, or something that doesn't come in plastic? And then if you still have to buy it, what can I do with this wrapper? And then if you still just throw it in the trash because there are no other options, what can I do that's good for the earth to make up for what I had to do that was not good for the earth? To be able, I mean, plastics are the thing that I really dislike most in this earth. But I am in no position to change how much the world uses them. But now I'm not just me. Now I'm all of us in that voice. And that voice can keep growing and growing until the big companies start to listen to the people. So just keep teaching. Practice what you can and then teach. So there are some things that we have to do we don't like to do. We wouldn't do if we could decide, like use plastic. But there are so many other things we can do to make up for it and inshallah bring change in the future. So just don't give up. Keep going.
Every little step matters. I know we start from a very simple one, ritual, but yet, like Miss Sabin said, we are now having the same voice. Okay, thank you, Bang. Thank you, Bang Ajit, for $1,000,000 question. Right? Okay, next one. After Bang Ajit, does anyone? Okay, Hawa. Thank.
So let me introduce myself. My name is Hawa, and for the question is there a special class for parents to love the environment and religious values?
Is there a special class? I like to think my classes are for that. Again, I do work within Green Muslims and outside Green Muslims. And this morning I had to take a few minutes to think about another job that I'm doing. After Ramadan, we are going to have, well, I have a business partner. She and I are going to have a retreat for women. And we're going to camp in the woods, and we're going to learn some basic skills for surviving in the woods, like how to start a fire simply without a lot of tools. Maybe we'll weave a basket out of vines, and we'll talk about nature, and we'll spend time in nature. And it's for adults. So this is easy. I do this with kids every week, but now we're going to try to do it with adults once, because so many adults haven't had that experience, and they're not comfortable out in nature. And there's also something very comforting knowing that you can make things yourself. You don't have to depend on everybody else. And we want to share that experience. So it can be done with children, it can be done with adults, but just being outside and learning about it makes it less frightening, makes it more comfortable. And then you can share the knowledge that you gain too.
Okay. When do we have the, what do you call it?
Retreat. We retreat from typical city life.
It will actually be, so it's actually very near where I live, because I don't live in the city. Like you, I don't live in the city. I live a little bit further out. It's not as green as here, but some areas still have forest, and I got permission to have the class in the forest.
I thought it's going to be in Indonesia because I plan to join you, so that's why
So I want to do it in Indonesia, but you will have to lead it because I don't know the plants and animals in Indonesia, and I will come to the retreat.
we can have a retreat and camping out in the field there. Maybe one day when you come back to Indonesia, you can join us for camping, right?
Please, I'm serious. Inshallah, will come. I would love that.
Okay, next one. Thank you, Kak Hawa. We have Kak Hawa, Kak Salsa, and Bang Aziz. We have one more last question. Anyone wants? Okay.
Hello, I'm Hikmah, and I want to ask the questions. First, how do you go to come to the other countries, and without learning other languages, how do you communicate with the people?
Wow. Well, it takes special circumstances for me to even be able to come. I mean, I am here because the U.S. Embassy invited me to come here. Yeah, so many thanks to them. And, you know, I feel bad not speaking more Indonesian, but it took me 3 days to remember terima kasih, which is the most important, I think, expression. But it's so easy for me to communicate with you because all of you know English. And so thank you very much for making that effort and then inviting me to come here. But we can always talk even without language, and we can always learn language. But this trip has been very easy for me, because I've been supported by people who speak my language. Maybe next time it should be a little bit harder and I should learn some more Indonesian.
Okay, once again, thank you everyone for asking the question.